on our mats. We're going to do a lot of this practice from seated, so this practice is for people who sit at their computer all day. So that's a lot of us. So whether you're at your computer or you're on your phone, if you think about the way that our wrists work, if you think about when we come into a plank pose, the way that our fingertips are starting to come back, we're finding this extension of the wrist. But usually when we're on our computers or our phones, our wrists are turned down, and we're finding this flexion of the wrist. So sometimes when we normally start our practice, we'll start in tabletop to start to find that extension and a little bit more gentle of a way. So we'll work through the flexion and extension of the wrist. Just start to roll the wrist out. We'll also work through some needs that the neck may have from sitting and maybe leaning forward into our screens all day. Then we'll work through a little bit of things in the spine and the forearms. So just roll the wrist out, doesn't matter which way you go. And start to make this movement a little bit bigger, get the shoulders involved. So try to let go of control of what this looks like. Just find some movement. And when you're ready, extend the fingertips long towards the mirror. We're just gonna work this right hand first. So reach for the right fingertips and peel them back just a little. So be gentle. You may start to feel this down the forearm. So a lot of the muscles that do the work in the wrist are actually in the forearms. Find your breath. And then we'll counter that. So bend, reach the fingertips back towards the forearm the other way. And switch. Do that one more time. And then ending with the fingertips up, reaching the right fingertips back. And then drop the left hand down. We're just gonna turn the right wrist out and then in. So turning the fingertips to the right and then to the left, starting to work these forearm muscles a little more. And then we'll just shake it out and start to work your hand, a little self-massage here. Start to work the left thumb into these muscles in the forearm. And just notice if they feel tight or you have any spots of tension. Maybe you do that a couple of times a day when you take a little break from your computer, walk around. So for me, it gets really tight up near the elbow. And then you may notice if you hit a certain point, you get a jolt in the fingers. I just got one. Awesome. Squeeze the hand, so working the left thumb into the pad with the right hand. You may notice like, wow, my hands are tense or have a lot of sensation I didn't know they had. That's because we typically, unless you have fibromyalgia or arthritis, typically sometimes we ignore our wrist and fingers and hands until they don't work very well, which is probably not our best policy. And then work down the back side of the arm, just giving it a little squeeze. Awesome, shake that out. We'll do this on the other side. So left fingertips extend towards wherever you're looking, your phone, your computer. Right fingertips will pull left fingertips back just gently. So we're just trying to get a gentle stretch here. Little self-assist on the stretch. Awesome, and then flex the fingertips down, bend at the wrist. And then back up. And back down one more time. Just finding that flexion and extension of the wrist. Find your breath. Then drop the right hand down. Just allow the left fingertips to turn out and then in, working that rotation. Excuse me. Awesome, and then shake it out. Start to work down the left hand, so using the right thumb. Work all the way up to the elbow joint and back down just a few times. So this can be a really good thing when we're able to go back and get massages, having a professional masseuse work on your forearms. If you type all day, obviously it's going to be a little bit better than what you can do for yourself, but it's good to do something, work the hand. So if you think about the fact that our fingers are curled and our wrists are in this position when we type on our computers, on our phones, and then of course when we try to put them in the opposite, in that extension position, in our planks or other yoga poses, makes sense why sometimes our forearms and our wrists are tired. Work it back up. Awesome. Shake both arms out. Roll the shoulders up, down, and back a few times. Make some nice big movements. So if you think about what we can and can't control right now, obviously there's a lot of things out of our control. There's a lot of uncertainty, but what we can do is find something that makes us feel good every day. So whether that's our yoga practice or journaling, start to roll forward. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's 10 minutes of quiet time with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine later in the day, or early in the day, whenever you drink your wine, no judgment. Whatever it is that makes you feel in control of a little section of your day and your life. I encourage you to do that as we start to move through the year. And then start to find a few nice big circles. So starting to rotate the trunk. So there's also in our first 30 days of yoga, there's a yoga for people who sit. Yoga as the antidote to sitting. It's probably somewhere in the 20s, day 20 something. So if you are finding that you sit all day, every day, like most of us now, definitely a good one to go back to. Start to make your circles a little bit faster if it feels okay. Use the core strength and switch. Awesome, and then we'll come back to neutral and we'll start to work a little bit on the neck, and then we'll get back into the wrist. We want to give the wrist and the forearms a little bit of a break. So allow the chin to drop towards the chest. Notice if you already start to feel some pulling and tension, and then gently allow the chin to lift. So if we think about the way that our spine looks, there's obviously a curve in our low back, and then we think about how the neck vertebra should sit right on top of the rest of our spine, but a lot of times we sit leaning forward. So keep rolling your neck. I'm just going to show you. If you lean forward and you start to get the spine out of alignment with the hips, and then you jut the neck out and you're looking at something on your screen, you're starting to also pull the cervical spine or the neck out of alignment. So that can tend to reverberate all the way down with issues. One more time, chin to chest. And then extend chin to the ceiling. Drop the chin back to the chest. We're gonna do drag. So drag your chin across to the right shoulder. And then drag your chin back across the chest to the left shoulder. The idea here is like you're kind of drawing a collar across. Find your breath. Something good to do gently if you wake up and find that you've slept funny. Things are feeling iffy. I did that yesterday. I went all day, my shoulder and my neck were hurting. Awesome, come back to neutral. And then we'll find full circles. So drop the chin to the chest. Doesn't matter which way you start your circle. Find your breath. Take at least 3 full circles, whatever direction you start. I'll mirror you here, so drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. Allow the shoulders to fall away from the ears. So you're not pulling the shoulders to the ear, you're allowing the ear to drop towards the shoulder. Walk the left fingertips out. Option to reach the right fingertips up and put them on the forehead or what's that called, the temple. Maybe add a little bit of extra weight and pressure. If that feels like too much, come back. 5 rounds of breath here. Use those fingertips to slowly press the head back up to neutral. Pull your left fingertips in and roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And roll them forward. We'll take that on the other side and then we'll make a little bit more movement for our practice. Get the heart rate going a little bit more. So find your circles the other way. So dragging the chin across the chest and then dropping the head back. Notice where things start to catch. Find a little deeper bit of breath. And then next time the left ear comes towards the left shoulder, hold there, release the shoulders down. Option to add on, walk the right fingertips out. Stay there or left fingertips to the temple, add a little bit of extra weight. Five more rounds of breath. Press that head back up to neutral, and then roll the shoulders up, down, and back. And roll the shoulders forward. Seated cat-cows, hands on the knees. Pull the chest and the chin. Jut the chin out, and then pull the chin back, round into the spine. So allow the gaze to drop down towards the belly button or the ankles, or maybe even towards the chest. Allow the head to be heavy here in your seated version of cat. Awesome. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, seated cat, drop the chin. We'll stay in the seated cat for longer each time. Allow the head to be heavy, shoulders to drop. Really round into the spine. One more time like that. Inhale, reach forward, cow. Exhale, round into your cat, heavy head. Awesome. Come back to neutral. Roll over onto hands and knees. Find your tabletop position. So this is typically the first time we find that extension on the wrist in our practice. So shake the hips outside to side. And then fingers spread nice and wide. If you're hypermobile, make sure the elbows are coming in towards each other. And then we'll begin to rock forward and back. So you can allow the shoulders to come past the wrist. Normally we'd stop here for table, but you can allow the shoulders to come past the wrist just enough. Just a little bit of extra stretch here. A few more times rocking forward and back. And then we'll turn the left fingertips back towards the knees. Right hand stays as is. Stay here or rock back a little bit more if you want more stretch down the left forearm. 5 rounds of breath. Awesome. Come back to neutral. Shake it out. And switch. Right fingertips turn back towards the knee. Doesn't matter how far around they go. Just happen to be super flexible, which is, as I've said before, is not really a good thing. Flexibility in the joints can mean there's less stability. So what we want to find is function, the ability to do the things we need to do to feel good when doing them. Getting super hypermobile and flexible is not necessarily our goal in our practice. We certainly want to lengthen out muscles that have gotten tightened, but being able to put your legs behind your head or get into a split, at least in the way that I see yoga, is not the goal. Turn it back around. I'd also argue that most people that can do that were probably pretty flexible to start with. Turn the fingertips in, so we're dropping to the backs of the hands. I'll turn to face you. Fingertips turn in, And then we're gonna round the fingertips into the hand, like we're curling our hands up into little tiny fists. So you should feel this on your forearms. Maybe lean the weight forward over the wrist a little bit more. If it feels weird and good, then you're doing it right. 1 or 2 more times. Check in with your breath. Sit it back on the heels, roll the wrist out. Awesome. Come back to your tabletop. We're gonna do a little bit of hip and neck work here. So allow the head to be heavy. So the gaze is back towards the knees. Pick the toes up and swing the toes side to side. Allow the neck to go with it a little bit. So we want to be gentle with our cervical spine, but allow things to be heavy. Neck just dropping, head dropping side to side. Maybe you hold toes to the left, head to the left, and switch. And shake it out, let everything be nice and heavy. Awesome, tuck the toes, take it back, find your down dog. So notice here how things feel in the wrist. Fingertips spread nice and wide, hips are high and back. So stay in your down dog, but I'm just gonna show you, sometimes people are way off the fingers trying to grip. If you can get a grip that way, that's fine. For me, it feels better to press down through the first finger and the thumb and make sure that I'm really closing that space down. Pull the elbows, eyes the elbows towards each other, at least so they see each other. Walk your dog out, bend one knee and the other, finding some movement. Big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. Step or hop to the front. So we're gonna stay in our forward fold. Feet hip distance apart, let the head be heavy, super heavy. Nice big bend in the knees. The goal is not to lock out the knees. Allow the head and the neck to be heavy and sway. We'll reach for ragdoll arms, grab for opposite elbows, frame out the face. Maybe make your sways a little bit bigger. Then we're gonna go all the way up and around. Reach the arms overhead, round it back down, and then switch, go the other way. I call this the rainbow ragdoll. I think I made it up. It's like that little carnival ride at the fair. So go a couple of times, switching directions each time. Maybe when you get to the top, you look up, find a little back bend. One more final round each way. And then find your way to the top and stay. Open the arms wide. Root down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hinge. Halfway lift. So here in the neck, we have a tendency to crane the neck up. We want the gaze to be out in front of the feet so that the cervical spine, our neck, is in line with the rest of the spine. So if you're here, gazing way out in front of you, look down when you find your half lift. Plant the hand, step it back. This time, gaze is at the thumbs. Find your plank. Rock forward and back, noticing how it feels in the wrist. And then rock forward, drop to the knees. Slowly lower the chest. Peel it back, baby cobra. Exhale, release. We'll come into Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulders. And we'll gaze over the right shoulder. Say hello to those right toes. Come back to neutral. Gaze over the left shoulder. Come back to neutral. Release. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Take it back, find child's pose. Knees come wide. I don't really need this blanket today. Knees come wide. Toes come together. Press the hips back. Walk it forward. Come up onto the fingertips and then walk it over to the right. Melt it back down. Option here is to take that same reach for the right fingertips, pull the right fingertips back while you're in your child's. Walk it back through center and switch. So option to pull the left fingertips back with the right hand. Walk it back through center. Round up through your tabletop. Take it back, find your down dog. Shake the head yes and no, make it nice and heavy. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go. Step or hop to the front. Halfway lift, inhale. Remember, gaze is out in front of the feet, not craning the neck up to look up in front of you. Exhale, fold, head and neck are heavy. We'll find that ragdoll again. Reach for opposite elbows and sway. Then one full time each way, reach it all the way up and over. Take your rainbow ragdoll and switch. Stay at the top. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hinge. Halfway lift. Plant the hands, step it back. Come to your high plank. Move it forward, shoulders over wrist, and then pull it back. Drop to the knees, pull the chest through, elbows graze the ribs, slowly drop it down. Peel it back, baby cobra. Melt the heart down, then find our sphinx. Elbows under shoulders, fingers spread nice and wide. Option here, the left forearm comes across the mat, reaches for the right elbow, where the right elbow would be. Look back towards the right foot. Option to reach for the right foot if you have the space. Slowly release. And switch. Right forearm comes across the mat to steady you. Gaze over the left shoulder. Option to reach for the left toes. Awesome, come back to neutral. Slowly melt it down. Drop to one ear. Windshield wiper the feet. And switch, drop to the opposite ear. Hands underneath the shoulders, take it back. Find your child's 5 rounds of breath. Melt the hips back, melt the chest down. Take a cleansing breath, big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. Roll up, find your down dog. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go. Step to the front. Halfway lift. Cervical spine in line with the rest of your spine. Exhale, fold. Find your ragdoll. Grab for opposite elbows. Find your little sway. Take it all the way up, over, and around. One time each way. And then pause the top. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Half lift. Plant the hands, step it back, find your plank. Find your movement, roll forward and back. Drop to the knees, untuck the toes, lower the chest. Peel it back, baby cobra, elbows squeeze in. Release, find your sphinx. Option to stay here. Option to take that same variation with the quad stretch we did before, or take it to seal, fingertips spread wide, press the mat away, pull the shoulders down, lengthen the neck. Gaze is neutral. Awesome, release. Stack the palms, drop to one ear, windshield wiper the feet. And switch. Hands underneath the shoulders, press it back, find your child's pose. 5 rounds of breath. Walk it back. Sit back on the heels. Interlace the fingers, roll the wrist out. Maybe drawing little infinity signs. Stay here if you'd like. Interlace the fingers behind. Lift, pull the shoulders down, neck is nice and long. And then option to fold forward, drop the forehead, the crown of the head to the mat. Bring the shoulders out. Of course, if the fingers don't interlace, you can just reach them towards each other. Slowly rise back up. Option. We're gonna come to our backs. You can go ahead and work your way into Shavasana or take another pose or two. So round down into the spine. Take our final twist, another place where we typically turn our head the other way. So pull the right knee into the chest. Pick the hips up, move them to the side, take the right knee across. And then take the right arm straight out away and gaze comes over to look towards the right fingertips or the right shoulder. Bring the gaze back to neutral and then look over to the left. Just notice how it feels different to gaze the same way as the knee. Take it back to the opposite, looking out over the right fingertips. Slowly come back to neutral and switch. Pull the left knee in, right leg extends. Pull the left knee across the body, left arm reaches long, gaze over the left shoulder. Bring the gaze back to neutral. And then over the right shoulder, just notice how it feels. And then look back over the left shoulder. Come back to neutral. Pull the knees into the chest, lift the forehead, round into a ball. Allow everything to fall. Extend the legs long. One final time, roll the wrist out. Squeeze the hands and the forearms. Take a moment to thank these nice extremities for all the work they do, all the thankless work, especially now and everything's on the computer. Remind yourself how much you appreciate all the little things they do. Big inhale, reach tall and long. And exhale, let everything fall out. Take a few moments of quiet in our final resting pose. Relax the space between the eyebrows. Relax any tension in the jaw. Let the shoulders melt down. If you'd like a longer Shavasana, feel free to turn the video off. Otherwise, start to point and flex the toes. Roll out the wrist. Rub the fingertips together. Reach the soles of the feet to the earth. Allow the knees to drop side to side. Eventually falling to one side and pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat. Taking a moment to find some lightness in the neck, in the arms, some lightness in the mind, and the body, and the spirit. Reminding ourselves that despite the uncertainty, despite our lack of control over so many things, we are in control of our breath, the nice things that we take time to do for ourselves. We're in control of how we react to the things that happen. Taking a moment to find gratitude, the way that you feel right now, the way that you feel when you take a little time for yourself. Gratitude for all the amazing things that your wrist and your fingers and your forearms can do for you. And for the neck, for holding that nice big head right on top of your body. Reminding yourself that you are enough just as you are right now. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. No changes needed. No apologies necessary. Taking this sense of gratitude and lightness, these little bits of control to anchor ourselves in the uncertainty. And this feeling of always being enough with you for the rest of your day and your week. It's truly my honor to guide you through your practice. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Let's bring our hands together at heart. I bow to the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you, yogis.